Hi, my friend, it's Pat Sloan here, and it is the dog days of summer. If you look at the calendar, we got a nice little dog on there. So I had to look it up. I'd forgotten what the dog days of summer were, and it's about a constellation and how the stars are aligned right now with the sun, I guess, in part of a constellation called the Greater Dog. So the dog days of summer, those days when that constellation is aligned that way. Learn something new every day. But for us quilters, we're going to talk about dog quilts, dog images, dog fabric. Heck, if you made a quilt for your dog, show that and tell it too. That's like so, you know, when we did Home Is earlier this year, I included an applique dog, and my quilt still doesn't have binding, but it's quilted. It went to the spa, and here's the block. I gave you both a dog and a cat applique for those of you who have cats. So here is my Home Is, waiting its turn to be put binding on it. So do any of you do this? I actually will pre-trim before I do a final trim. Do you do that? I find that it's easier sometimes to handle the quilt because I send a lot of extra to the spa, the long armor, and so it's easier sometimes for me with a little bit bigger quilt to trim off a section first with scissors like this. So I'm doing this, and then I will come and do a real trim where I'm squaring it up and being sure that the quilt is all even and everything. So am I the only one that does that? Let me know. Okay, the other quilt I want to show you has dog fabric. And this is a quilt I did years ago for a book called What a Novel Idea, and in the book are all patterns that are good patterns for novelty prints or prints with larger images. So this one I used dog fabric. It's a bigger quilt too. Ta-da! So there it is. It's got my really cute dog fabric in it. I love this. There, you can see it. See the cute dog fabric? So this is a great quilt. I'll link you below in the description box so you can pick up the book, a copy of it. It's been out of print for years, but you can always find somebody doing a resale at the link below. And while you're there, hit subscribe. Okay, so we can be friends. Mwah, mwah. Then you'll get a notice so you know when the new video is out. It will remind you, because actually I heard somebody say that they only watch my videos on Wednesday. Only the Wednesday video? You're missing so much. Okay, let's talk about Summer Soiree, because I need to get it off the wall. I put it up there yesterday after Wednesday with my sashing. So I started doing the sashings and I want to show it to you up close. I'm really in love with how the blocks are coming along with the borders. So what I've done is a peach here, and I'll do another peach up there. I've got two green, and the one sort of a medium pink. I'm going to get in close here in a second. And then I've got lighter ones on the others. So let's take a look. I really had to think about what to do with this one, and all of a sudden I realized, well, down here I had peach and blue, so that would be a really good repeat of peach and blue. And then the green, the border is not in the fabric, it just brings the color. And then this one I am taking this piece of fabric here and using it. We've got the green like I showed you yesterday, bringing out there. Once again, another with the very light, which I really love. Now I think this is sort of medium, so this is like a medium tone one, and I think that worked out really well there. It is in the center, same fabric. Okay, down another light one here, and then the one from yesterday. Cheers! So the deal is, I'm looking at this thinking, okay, I'm going to do 3 peach, so I'll do a third one in peach, a third one in green, so 3s are very pleasing, and then we'll do at least one more in this medium tone, and maybe the 2 more. So that would be the rest of the blocks. There's 4 more blocks to do. So that is how the sashings went last night. So I just want to get those last ones cut and sewn on there so I can put those back in the bin until next week. A few of you asked me about my koala table, so while I have this camera up, I thought I'd take a picture. So down here is the sort of lift, because this is table height. So when I sit on a taller chair, so that's so my feet can reach, because they can't go on the floor. I've got these shelves that come out so that I have extra space, and then the drawers on this side. There is the pull out here, which has, for me, I've got rulers. Whoops, they went inside. So nice rolling casters. So there's the ruler storage, and it's got a pegboard in there, so you could put your hoops. I can bring this out, which is the same as the other side, and then I have a shelf that goes on top if I need that extra storage. So the table has a back here, which is always open. This is where I cut. And then down below that, this is all customizable, these Koala tables, so you can get what you want. So down here is my baskets of fabric. So I have all fabric underneath here. Got a mat to stand on because I have a concrete floor. So it's a concrete floor. This is the slate for my fireplace, which is behind the quilt, and that is the back side of the table. On the other end, I don't have anything but my ironing board. So we'll come around, and here is the ironing board. Ta-da! I've got my iron on the floor right now so that I don't knock it off while I'm doing filming. And this is the side that I sit on, and of course this camera's here all the time since I film every day, pretty much. And there's my other, this is a unit that Koala used to make, and so they don't make that one anymore. And over on this side is another piece that they used to make, and they don't make that one anymore. But all my furniture is white, and I just love it. There you go. Oh, before I end, this is the lift so that the machine can actually go down, and I can have a totally flat work surface if I want to be doing something on the whole top and don't want the machine up. Or if I want to store it for a while, heaven forbid, I never do that. But it does have an electronic lift because the Solaris is quite a big girl. She's a heavy girl. Okay, that's a little tour. Okay, now I want to tell you about an event for October, which is free. The Virginia Quilt Museum is hosting a celebration of its 25th anniversary. A year late, since we couldn't do it last year during the pandemic, and we still cannot do it in person. We don't feel comfortable doing a huge event in person in October of this year. You know, those decisions would have had to been made months ago when people were still not even vaccinated. And that means more of you can come, because the Virginia Quilt Museum is in Harrisonburg, Virginia, and it is open. You can go in the museum. But the virtual event is online. It'll be a Zoom. I am the host of the event, and so I've interviewed a lot of the former directors. I interviewed some of the ladies who made a special exhibit quilt, and then we have a wonderful antiques dealer who will be giving a talk about quilts of the area, which will be just fabulous. So all of this is free. You just have to go and sign up so that we have an idea of how many people are coming, and then you can get notices to remind you. And it is on October 9th. So I think that's like the first Saturday in October, and it's at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Eastern is my time zone, New York City time zone. So 1 o'clock Eastern. So I hope you'll join. I will be, as the unofficial ambassador of the Virginia Quilt Museum, my job is to be sure you know about these things. So I will be reminding you, and be sure that you are signed up. And the links are below. Okay. I also was working on some of these crumb blocks because I thought, you know, I'm going to use them since I got the Liberty box done, which has been shipped to the spa. I wanted to then focus on getting these crumbs sewn. Anything I can do into strips, I'll put in the strip bin. But I wanted to get the crumbs sewn because I didn't want a pile of these anymore. I took them all out of the box I had in the drawer over there, and I put them in here, which I do not have that many anymore. There's just a small handful because I made this and I made this. Now this is like I used more strips here, and I did it like a rail fence, just strips going one direction and then reverse the direction on both sides. I really loved how that looked. This would make a fabulous whole quilt of everything being done just like this block. Then I did a courthouse steps, so there you go. And I'm making all of these between, I'm trying to go like between 9.5 to 10. So I'm trying to get them up to 9.5. And eventually, I showed you that bin the other day of them stacking up. And then here's one from the Basket and Blooms. This was just the fabrics from the Basket and Blooms. And I didn't use any of that sort of raspberry red, you know, that pinky red. I didn't put any of that in there. I wanted to keep this all really light, and I just love how it looks. But really, I'm leaning towards these ones where I can sort of make them look like a more traditional block. I love that feel. I don't know. I also love this where it's all very tonal and light. So that might be something to try with a lot of light scraps. Well, I have like strips. So I have the one. I have two. I have two of the shoe boxes with strips, and then of course I still have this bundle, which I'm trying to decide. I have a friend who will take this and work with it, or I could just run this all through the AccuQuilt into squares or into strips. So I just need to make time to do that. And other than that, what I have left right now is like this little pile here, and the rest of it, I just have, you know, not very much else. There's some green, not very much else. And I'm trying to use that, trying to sew all of that up so that I don't keep having all those little pieces. This has been quite an interesting adventure in using all of these little leftover pieces this year. I am fascinated by the process. It intrigues me as to what I can do with them, but they take time. And that's really the downfall of it. That's why there's this big stack, and that's why I have two shoe boxes of strips, which I've not sewn at all. But we'll see what happens as the year goes along. Once I get the book done, then it'll be like another phase for me. Then I'm really like, okay, I can look at some of those things that I have sort of hanging loose. I'm going to try to wrap a lot of those up. Maybe I'll sew up a bunch of string blocks and get that one string block quilt done. Okay, my friend, it is the dog days of summer. I hope that you will show me one of your quilts made with dog fabric, or that has a dog on it. Maybe a real dog. I love you. Mwah. See you online.